Check one more time. Yeah, I don't mind checking twice.
All right.
Oh, man. All right. I'm here with Jason Hughes, who has been around the block. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, I've been around a lot.
He's been around the block. He's been up the tree, over the hill. You've been at it a long time,
Every which
man.
way. Yes, I have.
You're right. Jason, how long have you been fooling with these horses?
I have been fooling with them my whole life. My dad, he started fooling when he's 14. He's 77 this year.
Okay.
So I was raised in, we showed walking horses.
Right.
I was raised in it. And I quit training professionally in 2015. Took about a year off. Then my wife made me start back her little horse and show him racking. And we've kind of switched over to racking a whole lot.
Okay.
We still show some walking.
Right. All right. Well, you show good walking. I mean, listen, gee whiz. I mean, Otis has done good.
Otis has
She's done well.
Yep.
I mean, golly. Yeah. I mean, and to do both of those at the same time is a big job.
It is.
I mean, I don't. What do you find the challenges on doing showing walking and racking?
A lot more pressure in show walking.
Right.
You know, when of course, we show mainly flat shot. I've got one or two. We show walking and racking, and all that is just switching the shoes around. You know, make them cup that leg or reach that leg, whichever one. You know.
Me the other day, Otis was coming by the other day when Shane and I were recording, and he kept saying something. She kept telling me to be still, and he said, "The numbers ain't moving."
The numbers is not moving.
From then on, I became a fan of Otis.
The numbers is not moving.
Me and Janice were talking earlier. All right, well, we're talking about horses, but we're going to talk about something different right now. When we're talking about Otis, we said, Janice said, she said, I bet that that boy, he said he's so sharp, he's smart and sharp. You two focus so much attention on him.
Yes.
Okay, on trying to do that. And I can see Shayna trying not to be a hovering parent, but to hover at the same time.
Yes.
And he just seems really sharp.
He is a really sharp kid, and we are very blessed. He's a well-mannered kid.
Right. Now that's good.
And he probably can work that stuff better than I can. And he's 9.
Yeah. All right. So when we talk about racking and walking, trying to show both of those, and the biggest difference you think are you finding there's more pressure you think walking?
Walking, we show the ones we train at home mainly racking besides one or two of them. We showed all of them racking besides one or two of them, and it's more pressure on me on racking because I'm the one doing it.
Right, right.
When they showed their flat shots, it's Joe Lester. I just show up and carry all the stuff.
I like that.
I'm that horse show dad and that part.
Right. Well, I think that's neat. That works out good. I mean, I think that, like I said, not a lot of people can pull that off, and it takes a lot to do both. I'm sure it does, more than what I even know about. But when I think about that, trying to go up against that, and I tell you, when did you first come to when we talk walking for just a minute, when did you first come to the celebration?
I got to come the first weekend to the walking celebration in '88. That was a thing that Mom and Dad never let us come.
Right.
So I was 10 when I first come. And then we only got to come the first weekend, not championship weekend.
Right.
My first time coming but 2 years later in '90 was when I got to come the second weekend. Then from then on out, we got to come both weekends.
But all right. So when we think about your first time coming here, you've seen a lot change on this grounds.
Yes, sir.
What are some things that stand out to you?
They've redone the Cooper Steel Arena. That name change, I'll still call it the Calisonic. My wife will happily correct me every time.
Right.
You miss a lot of the old stuff.
Right.
But I understand, man, has to change. You got to update stuff, and lot of barns update, but there's a lot of old barns been tore down on this place.
I think they're just about all except on the very back side.
Yes, and
I believe they're about all gone.
The big long barn on the very back side that runs this way, that on the back side of it's where we always stayed. So if they tear that down, I'm probably gonna cry a little bit.
You know, I've been coming here so long. I remember when there was no Calsonic Arena, there was no Champions Arena.
Yes.
I mean, I remember when they shot horses right here. There was a big farrier section.
Shoe pit sit right there.
And because I slept outside of it before, we pulled an old Galaxy 500 in there and slept, you know, all week long inside of that Galaxy 500. My dad, 3 of us, 2 of us in the back, 1 in the front.
Dad always told me, he said when he first started coming, I don't recall what year, he said they had a horse van. Mm-hmm. And he said the barn that we was in back there in the back I was talking about, he said that was one of the first barns they got to stay in. It was a new barn.
Right.
And he said they would put the ramp on, they parked down here and put the ramp where it comes straight out. And he said they slept in that horse van every night.
I can remember staying here on the grounds, and you stayed out till all night long. Okay. I'll tell you how long it was when I first came here. You could bring motorcycles here and you could ride them up and down. And Jim Brannon, a friend of mine, I don't know if you've ever met him. He did come here for years, but he works on horse trailers and RVs and stuff like that. He did for years. But the first time I seen a 175 Honda, they just come out with it. And he could ride a wheelie as far as you could see, okay? And he would ride wheelies up and down between the barns. He would, and then he would ride them up and down between the barns. Needless to say, next year you couldn't bring a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if there's any changes we made, that's one change that we did help make it.
Probably a good change.
You can, and I remember when they used to bring the Clydesdale horses. They brought the Clydesdale horses here, and that was fascinating, wasn't it?
Yep.
And they brought them in here. Hello, Matt. Hungate, how are you?
I'll be down there in a minute.
But they brought those in. A lot of changes of it.
It has changed a lot. For the better.
Right.
For the better. Of course, there's still some of them old barns in bad shape on the grounds.
Yes, sir.
Of course, I remember as a kid, you talking about all people doing stuff all night. You could walk in this field, the old warm-up ring, this ring, out there in that field of the back ring, and see somebody riding all the time. It didn't matter if it was 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Yeah. Larry and Gary Edwards would always tickle me, was because we would get here early, about 5:36,
right? And
they'd been here since about 3:30 riding.
Yeah. And you know, morning. People sold horses.
Yes.
Down here in this lower ring all the time where the big tree is, if you wanted to buy a horse, you could go out there and begin to look for horses to sell and buy one. And man, we bought one time, and it was a reserve world grand champion 2-year-old, which we thought was really something. But that was the sourest thing. And I remember it back and plumb up on that, down there where they shine shoes. That thing was so sour, it back plumb up on there. But my dad thought, here's the horse we need. Took that home, and it never, Jim Dandy was his name. Something Jim Dandy, but he wasn't.
You know, we always can correct somebody else's problem.
Oh, yeah,
you know, that's the part, I can fix that.
Yeah.
It don't work that way all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think about that. I mean, when it comes to horses, you guys have really done good. I mean, I know you poured a lot of work into it, and you've worked it. You've worked it and kept going with it. But what are some horses you can think of that stand out in your mind that you've had?
That I've worked? Mm-hmm. Oh, Lord, there's a bunch of them. One of my favorites all-time horses was Who Am I? Miss Karen Rector owned him from Smiths Grove, Kentucky.
Okay.
He won her first world championship in 2006. Then I turned around and won the young trainers class on him in 2008. So, I'm never going to forget that.
Right, no,
that's my only world championship at the Walking Celebration.
Right.
Of course, I campaigned unarmed. I'm unarmed in 2006 for the World Grand Championship.
Okay.
That's the night there all that stuff happened.
Right.
I worked for Chad Balcom for 4 years. great man to work for. Of course, my dad's a great man to work for. Learned everything I know from them two men.
Well, let me take this when we talk about Chad Balcom. And I listened to you talk just a minute ago, and I'm a lot older than you are. I showed with Chad in the juvenile class.
Yeah.
He had that big mare, and which I think put him on the map. He had a big mare. But anyway, I showed with Chad.
Was her name Dolly something?
Yeah, showed. I showed with him in the juvenile. And not only that, see, I lived with Ronald Mosley.
Oh, really?
And I worked for Ronald Mosley. I think it was $150 a week. I lived with Ronald. Lived with Jeanette, and Rhonda, lived there with him. And they were the worst cooks you've ever seen in your life. Jeanette and Rhonda could absolutely, to this day, I think Ronald, because he furnished me supper. He bought my lunch. We went to Hardee's about every day. And but he furnished my supper. And they could burn a can of green beans to this day.
Well, Jeanette's got a lot better with Hamburger Helper. Or she did when I was there in the early 2000s.
Yeah, when something happened, those girls, but they were just in high school, then. But I'm telling you something, I loved Ronald Mosley.
He's a great man.
He was just, he just absolutely, it breaks my heart when I think about him. I loved him.
I always enjoyed, we get set and talk to him. He could tell some stories. Of course, I loved listening to them old war stories.
Yeah, I loved him. I just had a Dark Haze. And I had a colt back out of he had a horse called Dark Haze that he campaigned pretty hard, and I think about that. But going with the horses, when you think about horses that you won on like that, man, that sticks with you, doesn't it?
Yes. When I worked for Chad, he had electrifying, and Chad was really good about letting you work good horses. Now, he would oversee and make sure every step was long.
Right.
Dad always been good about letting you work good horses and overseeing you too. And them guys just sit back, and if you want to take all the credit for it, you can.
Yeah.
And being a young age, 21, we thought we was doing something. But under every successful trainer, they've got a good ground person.
Man alive.
I'll have to give my success to both of them men. Right. Probably more my dad than Chad, but Chad really helped me get out there. I received in 2001 Assistant Trainer of the Year working for him.
Okay.
Was a mighty fine honor to be voted on by your peers.
Yeah, really. Yes,
and as far as just horses, I mean, I've worked a lot of good horses, in my day. I feel like I have.
Yes, sir.
But now, as far as, like I said, that they'd always let you feel like you was the man.
Right.
Until you need a little help, then they'd step in there, and I'd always think, well, am I really as good as I think I am,
I think that's a question we all have. I really do.
But I do fit really, and like Chad and my dad was best friends.
Right.
They talk not once a day. I'm talking about 3 or 4 times a day. They talk every morning and every night.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 times, might be 5-10 minutes. And 90% of the time, they was training over the phone with each other, talking about shoeing a horse, always making him better.
Right. That's
All
right. So we're talking about the walking horses. We talked about celebration. Let's talk about racking horse breeders just for a moment.
Okay.
When we talk about racking horse breeders, the Racking Horse Breeders Association, what all are you doing in the Racking Horse Breeders now?
I'm on the board. I represent Kentucky. And I'm not over the judges. I'm chairman of the judges committee, which I have a good group that's on there with me, as you and Mr. John Hubbard, Kellen Lacey, Ricky Parker's co-chairman. And I think that might be all of us. I can't remember.
Yeah,
might be one more and forgot.
I really appreciate you letting me on the judges committee. I mean, being on here and work with that. I mean, I really have enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed and being able to share stuff and do that.
One of my goals is to try to get your biggest complaint, whether it's walking, racking, anything. We want to see new faces. Right. And last year they got to see 2 new faces. They got to see Jackie Barron and Steve Glidewell out there.
Right.
And this year they are getting to see Ryan Parker and Amber Zan out there for the first time.
Right.
So, you know.
Well, how has Chris, I know Chris, when he done the fall, the spring celebration, had he judged before?
No, he's neither one of them has ever,
I didn't think he had either.
They judged walking and, of course,
right.
mixed breed shows, right, walking and racking. They've judged them. They ain't neither one of them. This is Amber's first time.
Right.
And
Amber's doing a good job.
It seems like she's doing
really
a real good job.
I think she's doing a good job.
Just
in case I have to show in front of her or something, I want to make sure I throw that in there.
She's doing a great job.
Amber. Everybody's doing real good. Well, we're not kidding, but go ahead.
But you know, you always gonna have complaints at what you do.
Oh yeah.
I had a lady last night. She come over here. She lives right over the road here. She come over here last night, and as soon as I sat down, she said, "I got something to tell you, Jason." I said, "What?" She said, "I tied every class just like they have."
Yeah.
So.
Well, now that's a miracle.
It is. It is.
I usually get first and second sometimes.
Well, she said, she said she probably not exactly right, but she got the top three about every time she said.
Do that. And I tell you what I see happening, and I ain't sure what topic was. Oh, we was on breeders' topic. I tell you what I see happening. I see, and these are good horses, but I'm seeing some new people win.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that there's great horses. A great horse can win every year.
Yes.
But that's a big thing to do that because you got better horses coming on all the time and great horses coming on.
You know, I feel like I was actually talking to a boy there Tuesday morning. We standing up in the warm-up ring Tuesday morning, and he asked me, he said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, we've got a good crowd here." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm sitting at my barn. Of course, I've got a good location. I can see."
Right.
I said, "I looked over there Monday afternoon." I said, "It's about 1 o'clock. I said, it looked like there's 200 people standing around that warm-up ring. Probably not.
Right.
But I said, I bet you there was 20, 25 head of horses in there.
Yeah.
Then they was 10 or 12 over here.
Yeah.
I said, I'm seeing a lot more horses and seeing a lot more new faces.
Right.
And people coming in, coming around.
Yeah.
So that's always a plus for us.
I agree.
You always got room to grow.
Yeah. So when we talk, and all right, let's go on. We've shared some about racking horse breeders, and we'll share some more in a moment about that. But I want to cover a topic that, and it's all right if we don't agree on this because Mark Smith and I got in a big wrestling match down there in the gravel earlier today over the same topic. When I think about, I know Alabama and all that, Decatur, and I went there for a long time too, not near as long as you did, okay, but I did. But I really like this grounds here in Shelbyville, and I like having the horse show here. And I think for our breed that it's growing every year. We're growing right here. This is such a horse country. When you're in Shelbyville, if you need to get your suit fixed, or you need to get 5 new saddles, or right out the road, or if you need, this is horse country. These barns are unreal, okay? And because we know a lot of, and I'm not saying you're not wealthy, but there's a lot of wealthy people,
yes,
that have spent a bunch of money. You and I can look at the barns and see what they've done here.
Yes, and just look at the one I'm in.
And we get to step in and use them.
Yes.
We get to step in and use them. I don't know. I like it here. And I know it's expensive.
It is expensive, but I'm going to tell you something. I went to a show this year. Not near as nice barns.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got near as much parking, tight. And I took 4 head of horses.
Okay.
I pulled in on Wednesday and left on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And it cost me about $3,000.
Right.
I'm just being honest with you. By the time we paid the entry fee stalls, it was really expensive. Anywhere you go anymore, it's expensive.
I agree.
And I'm not saying we can't get a good deal here or there, but I do agree with you. And would I love to see it back in Alabama one day? I would. But, we've got some of these boys right here that trains walking horses that has come and showed some this week.
I've seen it.
That wouldn't drive the 2 hours to show 1 horse or 2 horses, which makes a difference. And I feel like as long as we can get 2 or 3 each year, 2 or 3 more, we can grow, which like I said, I would love to see it back in there. But we got to get a place that can hold us. Of course, Florence is building their big arena over there, which, they've not started on the building. They took bids on it. By my understanding, they took bids on it. And
we got to evolve, though. Jason,
we do.
We got to evolve. I mean, and listen, man, I hope as I go on, when I think of where we're at here in Shelbyville, I guess, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just see us moving forward. I see this as an evolution point for us. And I know we can, and Mark and I were talking today. He says, well, yeah, but this is just not, we need a home. We need a home. Well, that's expensive. Okay. I'm all for renting. Okay. If I can. I've lived places that I rented because I just didn't. When I think about renting and what we're doing here, when we leave here, we have no more expense on racking horse breeders.
Well, I think what Mark means by is we need a home. If we go to Florence, what he means by we need a home, he wants a place that we're there until we're done.
Right.
It's not a place that we own. Like if we go to Florence, when we leave there, we're going to have no more expense too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's what he means by there. But I'm going to be honest with you. They won't never be another place like Decatur.
Well, yeah. But if you look at the pictures, it's not there.
It's not there.
And so we have to
find a new home.
We're moving on. But I guess, when I see this thing grow and I see what's happening in the last little bit, okay, we're growing and this is a good location. We got covered arenas out of sight. You can go out in most people's barns, 50 yards, you're in a covered arena.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm just I'm pro Shelbyville. Okay. Now it's just my point of view. I'm pro Shelbyville. I like it. I think this thing. I look to see so much activity today on a Thursday. Okay, there's so much activity running around here. It's I don't know.
I actually feel like the crowd. I think last year everybody was a little iffy about it, and we had a good crowd last year. Right. We was up some stalls. My understanding, we're up like 60 some stalls.
Yeah.
I think we had like 154, 56 entries last night, by my understanding.
Right.
Which is a good night for us.
Yes, sir.
Every night's been over 100. I think we had 136 one night. And,
right.
Morning session, we had 60 some that morning, but we had less classes and stuff.
I just see us growing. Okay.
I think we can grow here.
You too.
But at the end of the day,
I'd be able to afford it.
As a board member, we have to afford it. And then plus that as a Kentucky representative, it really don't matter what Jason thinks.
Yeah.
Right. The people voted me to vote you in, and they can kick you out. It's kind of run for an election. You got to kind of listen to what the people says.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, let's talk about something here. We've covered some areas already. Let's talk about these trail pleasure horses and these pleasure horses. Man, we are seeing a growth out of sight. 24, 25 head, and we're seeing, and I know we've seen that many horses before at times in pleasure classes, but in the last little bit, we seemed like we had a little bit of a lull, just a little bit. But man, I see these pleasure classes blowing up.
The Amazon train class the other night, trail pleasure racking 20 head.
Yeah.
My wife has showed in it 2-3 years. Well, maybe longer than that, maybe 4 years now. With that being said, not saying they've been any entries in it, but I recall one year being 5.
Right.
It had from 5 to 10 in it every year.
Yeah.
She's very blessed. She won it last year, and I think there's 8 head in it.
Right.
You come this year, you've got 20 head in it. So that shows you, and there's a lot of people in there, and I'm not knocking nobody, don't get me wrong, that I didn't even recognize.
Yeah.
That come. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
We got to have them folks.
I'm fascinated by it when I see it, man. I just so impressed by it. And good horses. I mean, there's horses that there's not 50 cents between these rascals.
Mm-hmm.
They're sitting there on the rail shaking. I'm just, it's just, there's not that much difference. Okay, when you got that level of competition, it's
They had a workout in that class the other night,
right.
and they were some nice horses went out the ring.
It's absolutely.
It's
good. It's good. Well, we've covered several topics now. All right, now let's cover something. When we think about this, what do you do, Jason, to afford this lavish lifestyle that you're living right now? Okay, with all these show horses, and I ain't even gonna think of what your truck and trailer and stuff. What do you do for a living? How do you live?
I drive a school bus.
Okay.
And whatever my wife says. Of course, my wife's a dentist.
Right.
She does dentistry, cosmetics, and facial stuff.
Right. I've already spoke to her about getting some work done.
Well,
and we talked. She told me not to watch YouTube anymore or TikTok on dental work because it scared me.
She's very well blessed.
Yeah, she's an entrepreneur.
Yes, she is. Her mind don't never shut down. She's like a squirrel on crack a lot of times. She's always thinking of advertising, how she needs to do something.
Yeah.
She works around the clock, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm very blessed to get to. I drive the school bus for the insurance, not much income.
Right.
But I do whatever she tells me.
Yeah. Well, that's smart.
I run Otis up and down the road.
Uh-huh.
And we fool with these horses.
Yeah.
We might try to buy one and sell every now and then. It's most times if we get a good and it's hard to sell. They want to keep it.
Yeah.
But that's that's basically of it. But now we got 29 acres there, and then got 10 horses inside. I think we got 8 or 9 outside, right. And by the time you're fixing fences and everything else and running here and running there.
Well, is there anybody that helps you around the barn? You do all this by yourself?
My mother-in-law.
I know. I was going to get that in there.
She's really good help. I get up. I'm at the barn at 5 o'clock every morning feeding.
Right.
And when I get done feeding, I go get Otis up. Of course, where I drive the bus, we leave the house at 6:15 to take the bus route. And I get him up at 5:45. And very few mornings do I not pass her on my bus route.
Right.
She's heading to the barn.
Right.
And she'll get there, and when she gets there, she'll start riding 1 or 2 of the pleasure horses. Most times she's got them knocked out. I come in there, I go in there, we'll talk a little bit, and we'll get 3 out. And while I'm getting them 3 ready, she'll go clean the stalls.
Yeah,
she will.
She's got, and I'm hoping to get to talk to her or something. But Mona's got such a good spirit about her. I really do. She's very quiet and easy about that. And but I really like her.
She'll go in there. She'll say, "You get them ready. I'm gonna go clean the stalls."
Yeah.
She'll pick them out. We'll get them 3 ready. We'll knock them 3 out. Of course, we try to ride 2 at a time.
Right.
Sometimes it don't work that way, but and we'll kind of help each other as we ride.
Yeah.
And then most time we'll get 3 ready. Me and her ride the first 2 together. Then she'll spray them off, and I'll jump on that 3rd and take off and ride it.
Yeah.
Then when I come in there, she'll have 2 more out and picking stalls.
Yeah.
And then I'll get us 2 more ready, and we'll take off, and then we go from there. And some days I get to help her pick stalls, but most time I can find something to do.
Well, I can imagine that. I was thinking, it takes people to work together like you're doing it. And I tell you what it is. It's so. See, I think part of being wealthy is what you get to do when you think about riches and the stuff. When you think about first thing, the time you get to spend with your boy.
Yes.
Time you get to spend with your mother-in-law, with your family. And Shayna, and the time y'all get to spend together. See, this is wealth.
Yes,
I really believe that, man.
It really is, and we are very blessed.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing about my mother-in-law. She'll pitch in on anything that will try to make it easier for me.
Right.
You know, if it's picking a stall, I'll tell her, I'll get these last 2 stalls. You go on, because when we get done riding, she'll go get ready, and then she'll go to my wife's office. Of course, she's the office manager. Right. Sometimes I believe she owns it, you know, which is a good thing. Right. I didn't mean that in the way that I probably come out, but
I know exactly.
No, she's the office manager. She tells my wife what she can do, what she can't do.
Yeah. Well, it's that probably started when she was little.
Yes. And but now I will say this, I am very blessed to have a mother-in-law like I've got.
Absolutely. I think
I am.
Too.
Well,
so we've dealt with that. You having support and having help. But I mean, there's and I'm not speaking any way ill of your family, because I don't do that unless it's behind your back. I wouldn't say anything to your face, because it's not Christian like. Okay, but I mean, you have Mona and Shauna, who's really nice. You know, Otis, a great kid, but you have Dwight in your family. Okay, and you know Dwight's there. Okay, and I'm not talking bad about Dwight.
He's like me. He's just married in.
Okay, all right.
I was told just because you marry into a family don't mean they're your family. So,
you know, I love Dwight too. But Dwight's a nervy fella. He's a little nervous, isn't he?
Yes.
I mean, I love him and everything, but he's more nervous than people think.
He is. You think just being sitting around 4, 5, 6 people sitting around, oh, he'll be a hoot in a crowd.
Yeah.
You get him in a crowd, he's ready to go.
He's a nervy fella. I watched him. I watched him all the time, and I think about. I watched him back when he had Mr. Evolution with him. He wouldn't even go up to the ring because he really loved on Mr. Evolution anyway. But he wouldn't go. He just nerves. He'd just be a nervous wreck.
I've been there.
Yeah,
I'm still there. I get nervous.
Yeah.
I try not to show it, but I get hateful a lot of times.
Well, I think if you and him together,
I'd kill him.
Well, wait a minute. Well, I thought y'all was going to fight today when you need to be alone. But what I'm thinking, if you and him together could work on writing a book, on really being able to hit the mother load like y'all have, and those two
talking about wives, right?
Yeah, and wives. Yeah, being able to, with those two wives, you could really have a book that Oprah could sell, or anybody.
Yes.
You should think about it like a plan. Here's the plan we had. We didn't even know we was working.
Here's the problem, and my wife's going to hear this, but she'll agree with it. Here's the problem: me writing a book.
Yeah.
I sat down and started, and she said, let me write it.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna touch that. I said last night, we was watching Janice had got up and walked off, and she went up to do something up around the t-shirts and stuff. Well, the ladies' country speed was in there. Okay, and they were getting fast. Okay, and these suckers are stirring up dust, and it's country speed, but they wasn't country speed.
Yes,
it's getting faster. So Kendra asked me, she said, now why are the ladies' class going so fast, much faster than the men's class? I said, because you women won't listen to direction. We told you to go slow, but you won't go slow. You get in there and want to fight and get up against each other. And I said, and when Janice comes back down here, don't you tell her I said that. You know, but you women just not listening to us. You're not listening at all. I said, you get in there and they get all tight and up against each other and want to challenge each other. I said, instead of sitting there like the men did on the rail, just clicking along. But anyway, when
looks like the Indy 500.
Oh man, they were lighting it up. But I tell you what, when we think about what's happened and how this thing has evolved overall, when we talk about horse shows evolving and moving forward, what are some things that stand out in your mind?
As far as improvements and
horses and people.
You know, you always need new people in it. And I see a lot of new faces here. Horse shows, they're always improvement for any horse show you put on.
Right.
I'm trying to think of a really nice way. There's less and less horse shows. So what you see more horses now, well, not more horses, but of course there are less people training. But you're starting to see let's say up there in Kentucky. At one time they'd have 2 or 3 racking classes. They wouldn't have a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Now they have 2 or 3 racking classes. They have from 5 to 10 trailblazer racking horses at some shows.
Right.
But you're getting where to see in chain. You'll see 5 or 6.
Okay.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
Okay.
But you're starting to see more people in it. Or stepping back in it.
Right.
There's some people stepped out and they're stepping back in it. You know, once it gets in your blood, it's always in your blood. You always want horse shows to grow, and it's really hard for me to answer your question because I can't put it in the words what's in my mind.
I think there's an evolution of people and camaraderie, and there's always has been. Okay, but through the way we've been able to communicate now so much quicker.
Yes.
We can text each other. We can go on Facebook and message each other, but we can see what each other are doing a lot of times. And I think there's an improvement of camaraderie because, like there is in the rest of the world, because we can communicate so fast. You know, in a moment,
Yes.
we can communicate. We can talk about it. We can talk about our horse pretty fast, and we can see what's going on. I don't know. Like you, I see all that changing. I see it all improving.
But you know, I was kind of worried about when we moved here.
Right.
What would happen, how it would go. Didn't know. End up having, I thought, a great year last year.
Yeah.
Actually, honestly and truly, I think we're having a better year this year so far.
I absolutely do too.
You know, you got there. Just if you put it out there for them and show the people that you're trying to improve, they'll come.
Yeah.
I truly believe that. Now you always gonna have people get mad, so I ain't coming because of the judges.
Yeah.
But or they do this or they do that. But I think if you keep showing them people you're improving, they come.
And you gotta, I've said before, you gotta bend it, but you don't want to break it.
Yes.
Okay, this thing you gotta bend it. You know, there's things that I want done in the Speed Association that I want done in racking horse breeders, but I know I have to move with this thing cautiously and diplomatically and right.
Yes.
I don't want to be like a bulldozer. Okay, because one thing I found is my ideas will change and evolve. Okay, there's things that I've thought, and I've said you can always change your mind, but you can't change what you say it's said. So I'm trying to be so careful and move and know that everybody else has these thoughts, and I want to move easy with them, because my concern right now is the Speed Association, and you know, it is. I have a concern about the whole package, but I'm trying to mind my business and do my little job in the middle of that, so I can do a good job at that. But I see everything evolving, everything moving in a good way.
And yes, everything.
In a real good way. All right, we've covered some topics here, okay? But I want to hit on something here. When we talk about marriage, okay, what are some of the things you think, and you seem to have a really good relationship with your wife. You might fist fight when I ain't around or something. I mean, she could take you down and be a real bad scene, okay? And but I mean, you seem like you've got a really good relationship. And if you don't tell me, or I'll cut it off on this part here. But I mean, what are some of the keys you think that you and Shayna have as far as a good marriage and a good relationship?
We both fight a lot.
Yeah.
No, we neither one give in.
Yeah.
We try not to go mad at each other. Well, we ain't gonna say we fight a lot. I said that jokingly, but no marriage is perfect, as anybody knows.
Right.
But you don't give up.
Good.
You don't give up.
Not
you said I do. For better or worse, a lot of people want the better, and then when the better's over, you go in and out of marriage. But the main thing at the end of the day, you don't give up.
Well, I tell my wife all the time, I'm not that good at anything, but I'm not a quitter.
But I'm also gonna say this. When we first got married, she come by and told me what we was gonna do one night. I said, yeah, okay. Daddy said, boy, he said, she's got you whooped. You just do whatever. I said, yeah. I said, I've seen you for 30-some years say no to mama and y'all. I said, I seen where not to mess up. I said,
like
so
that.
best way to do is just to be whooped and go on about it. You don't have to worry about fussing and fighting.
Yeah. You know, I give me orders. My kids and my daughter, especially my oldest daughter, one day she was telling me everything I needed to do, and she told me all I needed to do, the changes and what I needed to do. And then when she got done, I said, well, okay, all right. She said, you're not going to do any of that, are you? I said, no, not one bit. She said, well, why did you agree with me? I said, it seemed to make you feel so good. And I just wanted you to feel good. So, I mean, you know, so sometimes I do agree. But I'm, like I said, I'm a lot older than you. So I sort of got, you know, I'm at a little different point. But I mean, so the key we're talking about then is, I ain't figured out exactly what you said is the key to it yet. It's doing what she says to do, but.
And trying to do it with a smile.
Okay.
Trying to do. Kind of like we was talking earlier today about that fake smile. She knows when mine's fake now.
Right. All right, let me tell you what we were talking about earlier. You ever, and we talked about this earlier. You ever see people you just like them and you really don't know them, but you see some people you really, and I don't mean don't like them, but they sort of irk you just a little bit, and you don't know them. And I try to figure out what the difference is, and what I've narrowed it down to in my little old life is when people smile. I see people that smile, and I think I like them. You know what I mean?
I do.
That are happy. Now you see some people that seem to have, and we've had a good buddy of mine that pastored the church for years. He was a great fella, but his mouth was sort of made down a little bit, and he looked like he was frowning all the time. But he was as nice a person as you'd ever met. But I think the key, if people would just smile a little more, smile and take your time and talk to people, and do that.
You know, sometimes when you walk by somebody and smile at them and say hi,
yeah,
that might brighten their day up. You don't never know.
Absolutely. I try to do it and work at it best way I can, and try to be good and take some time with people and do it.
I try to. A lot of times, I'm sure I passed a lot of people here, and they've looked at me and probably said hi to me, and I've walked on by. But if I have, I was on a mission. I was probably running back here to get another horse. Actually, not running, but walking at a steady speed.
Steady speed. Yeah, we don't want to get carried away.
No, I'm not going to lie on running, you know. Because by my understanding, there's somebody kind of wanting to call out one of your people you interviewed on the live.
I'm going to deal with that as we go along. I'm really working on it, and I got to catch I believe the person that's really got the truth. I want to catch up with them. And
I'm going to say good luck on that one.
I know. I'm seeing
and she knows who we're talking about.
I know, she's pretty quick. She's quick today. She go by me on that two-wheeled thing, just grinning, flying. I've never seen one of those things go so fast. But she passed me by there where I couldn't catch up and talk to her. But and then, you know, I told one person that I was going to talk to another person that had some really insight into their life, that felt like there was some confusion about situations. And this person that I talked to said, after you talk to this person, I want to be interviewed again to do a rebuttal.
Oh, really?
Against this. And
so do we? I don't know, but the juveniles, you know, they had that heavyweight belt last year for the World Grand Championship. Yeah. If they got one, you think we might need to pull that out and square a ring off or something?
If I can make some money off of it for the Speed Association, I feel like I can do that.
Are we going to do like a? We probably just need to do a debate.
Yeah, we could do that.
And there's a third one that we might be able to phone, you know.
I'm a little worried about getting in the middle of it. I don't mind. I'll get in. I'll sacrifice.
Well, you kind of started it, so you have to finish it.
Just because I started it don't mean that, you know. Well, anyway, all right, we talked about a lot of things, but let's talk about one more important thing. This is important. Music. What kind of music do you like?
Well, my mother-in-law walks in the barn sometimes, and she'll say it's untelling what he's playing.
Right.
He could be playing gospel music, Oak Ridge Boys, Kentucky Headhunters, David Allen Coe.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers,
Right.
AC/DC, just
Right.
kind of whatever I feel like Pandora will play for me. I want in the mood for it. I'm really hooked on the Kentucky Headhunters right now.
Okay. All right. All right. You know, I'm a '70s person. You know, I'm '70s music.
Yes.
I'm a little more Dr. Hook and Aerosmith, Leonard Skinner.
Yep.
So you're really, you know, you got a genre. So
Classic rock is what I listen to a lot.
do you listen to much rap?
Not a whole lot. Now I do like some of the old rap songs that I growed up around.
Like what?
I don't remember their names. I don't never listen to them no
The
more.
Vanilla
Vanilla Ice, baby.
yeah.
Funny story on Vanilla Ice, Ice Baby. Shana was pregnant with Otis.
Mm-hmm.
The way we announced when we found out, she was in. We had a thing in Russell County called Dancing with the Stars.
Okay.
And there's a guy that teaches gymnastics and stuff. He does little dance teams and stuff. Him and her was dancing together. And of course, Shana used to be a cheerleader, do flips and stuff. When she found out she was pregnant, and so they practiced and he changed the routine around her. But they come up with the idea at the end to dance to Ice Ice Baby.
Okay.
And so at the end, you know, the poppers,
Right.
they come out with the jumpsuits on and
right,
stuff
right.
like that. And at the end of the song, they took the poppers and popped them for the confetti.
Yeah.
I guess you wonder where my row is on this, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of it.
All right, well, hold on. So Blue comes out. Then at the end, you know that song, the cupcake song the little girl sings? I can't think of it, but he had it fixed where it played at the end, and I come out with a diaper and not a little baby bottle, a calf bottle skipping across the stage in a blue shirt.
My Lord. That's video footage we need.
Yes, sir.
That we could incorporate that.
Yes, sir.
That's crazy.
But that was the funny part of it. You talk about Vanilla Ice. We come out with that, and which you had no idea about that story, I don't guess.
No, sir. I had no idea.
But at the end there, they popped it, and then that little cupcake song come on, and I skipped across the stage in a diaper and a blue shirt with that calf bottle.
I'm surprised that Sue didn't tell me about that.
I can't believe she didn't tell you.
No. She's just trying to look out for you and be good to you. Well, it's good, man. I really have enjoyed this. I mean, and I enjoy people.
Yes.
And I've enjoyed knowing you and getting to know you better and better as we go along. And I really have. And I think it's been fun. We're enjoying ourselves.
We are.
Enjoying family, enjoying life. And a man better do that.
And that's the end of the day, that's what it's about.
My daddy said, do it while you feel like it. He used to tell me all the time, son, do that while you feel like it.
Yes.
You know, and I think that's real important. I found that.
Stink bug on you.
That and the stink bugs follow me. I wonder where they come from.
I don't know.
Japan. I believe China has put those on us. But that and that COVID, same thing. But what I think about is I found there's several keys to life. And I want you, when you think about things that stand out, the keys to life, I think one for me is the more of your business you mind, the more of your business you'll get done. If you'll mind your business. You can't run around worrying about everybody else's horses. If you mind your business.
That's one of my biggest things is I like to take care of my own business.
Yeah.
Mind my own, worry about our own horses. If you're showing against a good horse, which you want to, I want to show against some good horses. Whether they beat me or not, I want to show against them.
Right.
Because if that good horse is good and my horse is good, he beats me, he gets the bragging rights. If I beat them, I get the bragging rights.
Right.
A lot of people wants to have a good horse, no competition.
Right.
You only find out how good your horse is when you show him. But if somebody's working the horse, they say, well, there's such and such. I'm worried about mine.
Yeah.
Let's worry about ours.
And I know it went a long time, but let me share this when you tell me your thoughts. Every horse can't do what every horse can do.
No.
And you can fool yourself trying to make your horse do what another horse is doing to beat that horse instead of making your horse as good as you can make it.
Yes. Billy Gray, one of the things I remember him always saying, every horse has one great show in him. One great show where that horse will show and have that great
Right.
show, and
Yeah.
everybody remembers it.
Yeah.
That
That's
horse
true,
will
ain't it?
always have good shows, being a
Mhm.
good horse, but there'll be that one great
Great
show
show.
that makes everybody remember.
Yeah.
You know.
I never really thought about that. That's true, isn't it?
Yep.
You think about horses. You know, I went to show last night, and a great group of horses in a class. Okay, one of my friends were in there, and after the show, when I went to talk to them, they talked about, well, maybe making this change and maybe doing this to their horse and one different. And I said, don't do it. Your horse was done everything it could do. Don't try to make it do something different, thinking you're gonna do that, or you'll go backwards, because you're at your point. And when a horse is doing all it can do, ride it right there and know that's the. Now you might change classes with it and find out, but then you get some horses that are stuck in between classes.
Yes.
And that's a little bit of a nightmare.
That is a nightmare. We had a horse a few years ago. We showed pleasure racking. They come to us and said, "Hey, he's doing a little too much, or we think he's doing too much." So we stepped up to country pleasure racking. Couldn't win there either.
Yeah.
It was just one of them. We
Stuck
had
in
that
between?
stuck horse. We loved him.
Right.
He's turned out on the pasture after showing about 3 or 4 years, but
yeah. I believe that happens a lot. You get a
It
horse that's
does.
in between. And I used to have a little mare that we won down here in Trail Pleasure with. And we could, with a nice sized tungsten, I could go up in pleasure racking.
yeah,
I could tap her up with the spur, jag her up a little bit, and she done good in both classes. But she'd win in Trail Pleasure, get a good ribbon in pleasure racking. And I think when we look at horses, sometimes people they really know, make your horse the horse it can be. And just because there's some horses you just can't beat if you're in that class, they're going to be a better horse. And now, like we shared, we're getting, the competition is changing, man. It's getting better and better and better all the time.
we've got a better breed of horses, bred horses, more talented horse than we ever had today.
I agree. And yeah, Ronald Mosley told me one time, when I was checking horses, and I checked horses, DQP for a while, and he said, when I checked him when he come out, and he said, the problem with these horses, John, he said, they just can't take what it takes to be a good one anymore. They ain't got the heart. He said he was just I think about people touching life. I tell you what, Justin, I really have appreciated it.
Thank you for having me.
I've appreciated it, and I'm glad that we didn't have Shauna here to interrupt.
Probably some of my stories ain't true, but it's okay.
Mona not here, Shauna not here. Sue
I guess I bragged on Mona more than I have Shayna.
Well,
but I do love you, baby.
Yeah. I'll cut that part out.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, all right. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching Just from the Shed, the Road Edition. Thank you.